Well, guys, remember when I said it's always something? Well,
good morning, guys. It is Dorothy with 6 Day Ranch. I just am gonna take care of our morning chores, collect all our eggs, check on everybody, make sure everybody's doing good. I don't know if you saw the video from yesterday, but I've already started the pump again for the pool so it can drain the rest of that dirty water. Hopefully the rest of the dirt comes out to where all I have to do is scrub it a little bit, put a little elbow grease into it. I've already looked and we actually got like a dozen eggs today, so I'm super excited because the girls were kind of taking a day off, I guess. I'm not really sure why, but we did a little research and found out that it's actually pretty normal for them to take one day off, like once a week, things like that. Can you get out? Sorry, I don't know if I can show you, but she's just in there. They finally left, so looks like all of our eggs are clean, which is a great thing. We love our clean eggs. Oh, there's 3 in there. There's one tiny one. I'm actually really happy with how well these girls and that one rooster is doing in this chicken tractor. Like I said the other day, the reason why we haven't moved it again is because we're trying to get them to kind of work in the ground for us. We're going to be planting some watermelons over here because it's real sandy over here, which is a really good soil for the watermelons to grow in, well, the type of seeds that we have anyways. So we're super excited about that. We actually still have those planted on the porch. We haven't seen them sprout up just yet. They're still doing really well. Then over here we have our goats. I don't know why, they just like to hang out over here in this corner. I guess just because it's nice and shaded. Right there. Right. Hey Jules. Why are you grinding your teeth? You good? Chewing your cud. And way back there's Billy, and Rip is just behind. Good morning. How are you? Yeah, so I don't know if you guys know, but the goats, they will, after they eat for a while, things like that, they actually chew their cud. So all of them are actually doing it. It actually looks like they're grinding their teeth, which is something that you kind of want to look out for in goats, because if they grind their teeth, that's one big sign that they're hurt, or maybe they have worms, because goats are really susceptible to getting those types of things. So you just want to make sure that you can distinguish between when they're just chewing cud and versus like when they're grinding their teeth, because usually when they're grinding their teeth, that means you kind of got to give them some medicine, make sure they're okay, check their temperature, things like that, just like a human. But looks like everybody's doing good. They have no signs of any other illness and things like that. So I think that they're just chewing their cud. And honestly, I'm really thinking that Jules right here might be pregnant. Her belly's getting kind of round and big, which is actually really exciting. We want them to get pregnant, so the sooner the better, so I can have some baby goats to play with. Right? Here's Tushy. Hi, Tushy. Chewing your cud. Good stuff. Relaxing. What are you doing? Making it better? Alright guys, so we're actually going to go check on our piglets and the ducks and just see how they're doing. The piglets are they're starting to make more noises and get more opened up to us, which is actually really cool. It's kind of what we wanted, so before long we'll actually move them into the pasture. The ducks are way over there. I gotta clean their pool again. They've already made it so dirty. Usually only lasts about 2 days. They're already coming up to greet me. Oops. No, stop eating me. Oh. I don't know why. They just love to eat me. Sorry for the truck in the background. Steven's actually doing a video on it right now. Stop! I think that one of the big problems with the pigs is they just recently got weaned from mom, so they keep trying to maybe find somewhere that they can nurse, even though I have nothing like that for them, which I think is why they kind of try to eat our boots things like that. But we've just started kind of tapping their snouts just so that way they don't keep trying to do that. They don't get used to it, because when they get really big, then we're gonna have a big problem with that. So looks like everybody's doing good, so we're just gonna keep an eye on that pool and go see what Steven's up to.
Hey guys, I was up here working on the gate controller, doing a little antenna extension that worked out great, by the way. I don't like spending a lot of money on the front gate of the property. I know a lot of people put a lot of money into like these big extravagant entrances. I think the money could be better used somewhere else on the farm, so I don't like doing that, but I do like to dress it up just a little bit. And one thing that we're going to do today is install these lights. I don't know if, let's see. So this box, I bought these like a year ago and never got around to doing the install. So that's why the box is a little faded. So these are, man, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. Mag-gift, maybe. These are solar pathway lights. If you look at the way they're designed, they hang on a little hook, and then you got a pole and it spikes into the ground. And I thought, well, what would be an easy set of lights that we could put on our front gate that look like they belong, that would also just add a little bit of lighting if we needed to get out and manually open the gate for some reason or something like that. So these will work. These are for pathway lights, but all we're going to do, we're going to use this hook and we're going to use this pole, and we're going to staple them to the back side of those front posts, and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about here in just a minute. So this is what we're going to do, guys, and the bottom of this, these are meant to be staked in the ground. So you would just pop this on here, secure that in place, and stake it to the ground. We're going to take this guy off. We're going to line this up against the back of our front gate fence post. We're going to staple that so that this hangs just like that. Now, we may have some issues with some high wind, but it looks like this is up high enough that that's not going to happen. I could always come through and put a little zip tie to hold it in place as well if that becomes an issue with the wind. But I think these are nice, classy looking lights. I think they're going to look really good, and they're of course solar powered, so I don't have to worry about electricity or batteries to swap out. All right guys, so this is our old and busted fence post for the gate. This is the one that it latches onto. So just to show you guys an example, what we're going to do is we're going to pop this up here and let it hang and center it on the post, so we have some nice looking lantern lights on the front of the property at nighttime. Excuse the grass out here up front that needs to be mowed, but as you can see, they're both hanging up, one there and one over there. I think they look pretty good. They look like they belong. Get a little bit closer. Very excited to see what these look like at nighttime. This will also help to light up this keypad here at nighttime if we forget our little remote, or if we need to give that code out to somebody that, you know, like friends, family, visitors, that kind of thing at nighttime. Well guys, remember when I said it's always something? Well, I'm sitting here in my truck. The wife was running a few errands. She went to TSC to pick up some feed a couple days ago, and on her way home, the turbo gauge went down to 0 and she lost all her power. I have not had a time to look at it yet. She was able to get home. I told her to just go real slow, make sure nothing was overheating. Had her check the engine for any kind of weird noises, things like that. So she made it home safely. Truck didn't overheat, which is a great sign, and it's not making any kind of weird noises. But always makes your heart sink when that turbo line goes down. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to plug my OBD reader. I got a little Bluetooth one here. I don't know if you guys have ever used one, but they're great to have. They're really cheap. They don't cost very much at all. You get them off Amazon. This is a V-Peak, this guy right here. And all you do is plug it into your standard port down here. I think this one's got a light on it too. You can see the lights there as well. And then I'm going to come over here to my phone under Bluetooth, see if this thing finds it. I'll hit pair new device. There's the GoPro. OBD2 right there. Alright, these usually have some sort of generic pin. That's probably 0000. Okay, so that was an incorrect pin. Let's try this again. Let's try 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, perfect. That worked. So, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this setup with the Bluetooth or not, but there is an app called Torque. There's a light version that's free. There's a pro version that costs money. I got the pro version here because I've used this several times and it is a very valuable app. I know you might be getting a little bit of reflection. I'll try to get that out if I can. But basically you can connect it. Once you connect the Bluetooth OBD2 reader, all you've got to do is open up your Torque app on the phone and it will make a connection. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to look at fault codes. Tap to scan. Alright, so here we go. So I've already got one fault code that popped up. That says P132B powertrain. It's still scanning, so I'm going to wait to see what else it comes up with. Alright, and then there's a P132B powertrain. No, that's the same code. So I'm going to click on that. And if it can't find it, it gives you a web lookup option, and usually you can find it online. And of course, because I'm showing you guys, it found nothing. Let's see what this guy does. Alright, so that didn't find anything. So what I'm going to have to do is do a web lookup on this. I'll see if I can copy and paste that error number. I read the code and did a little bit of Googling on that P132B, and just like normal, it is a little bit of a generic code. It looks like it has something to do with a sensor. There's a map sensor on the turbo. There's also a solenoid that's underneath the turbo. Those two apparently are two highly likely causes for this. They also say could possibly be an electronic issue where the PCM is not reading something correctly, which again would lead you to believe it's some sort of a sensor type issue. But simply clearing the error code and restarting the truck resolves it for most people. So before I even get underneath the hood, I'm going to try that. I want to see what it does first when I start the truck without clearing the sensor or the error, and then I will clear it, restart it, and see if anything changes. So here's what's happening, guys. First of all, I think she's got a case of identity crisis. This old Ford thinks she's a Dodge, because Fords aren't supposed to break down. That's a fun jab at the Dodge owners out there. Love you guys. So look at this turbo gauge here. I'm in park, and give it a little bit of gas, nothing. I've got zero movement on the turbo. That's usually not a good sign, guys. One thing I will say is the engine sounds fine. It's nice and quiet like it typically is. I don't hear any rattling or scraping of metal, so that's a good sign. I'm going to clear this code real quick in our Torque Pro app. Okay, clear faults, and you can actually see, guys, that engine light is already gone since the codes have been cleared. I don't think it's going to make a difference until we reboot. It may not make a difference at all, but we're going to see. Okay, so the codes are cleared. Turn truck off, key out. Another thing to point out is we know the turbo gauge works because it does that little self-check, or at least the dial here and on the dash works because it is a self-check when you first start the truck. so we're still not getting turbo boost. It did move a little bit, but not much at all. We have to go check it out. Alright guys, so I got bad news. I had the beautiful wife revving the engine while I was underneath here listening to it. There's a very distinct sound coming from the turbo, and for those of you that don't know, that is not a cheap part. That's a fairly common issue on these 2011 Ford F-250s, which is what I have. This was, I believe, the first year they put all the new emissions junk on these diesels, and all the extra pressure and heat make these turbos prone to fail prematurely. That's why a lot of people do the emissions deletes on these F-250s. I chose not to do that. Maybe regret that decision about now. I just want to point out, guys, that this kind of thing has a potential to ruin your day, ruin your week, ruin your month. You know, this is not a cheap thing to fix, but you know, God is good, and there's always going to be something that goes wrong. It's all about how you handle it. And you know, no, this isn't fun. It's not the news that I was looking for, but you know, we've got a lot of things to be grateful for, and it'll get taken care of. You know, it's not that big of a deal. Family's important. You know, the life we have here is important. So old girl here can stay parked for a little bit at least while we get this sorted out, and I'll find somebody that can come help me swap this out. If I do it here and don't take it to a shop, I'll show you guys the process of swapping it out. But those of you who aren't familiar with F-250s, those engines are not easy to work on. There's a lot of stuff you got to take off to get to things. Fortunately, the turbo is on top, so that's one plus. So yeah, I just wanted to give you guys that update, and we'll keep you updated on what we end up doing with this thing. We're gonna bring this old thing back to life, and because we need a brooder or some sort of a hutch to keep things like the baby animals. We ever decide to get rabbits, this would be perfect for that. The baby chicks, they need to be isolated and kept warm. This would be really good for that, so we're going to do that. We're going to bring this back to life, get it all firmed up, because right now it's all sorts of jacked up, but I don't want to throw it away. I don't want it to go to waste, so we're going to fix it, and I'll show you guys what we do with it. Guys, just wanted to show you this real quick. We had a line of storms come through here, and luckily they just missed us, but this is the tail end of the storm. Not sure how well it's going to come out in the camera, but you can actually see the tail end of that storm with a little bit of circulation right there. It's really neat. It's beautiful. Quick update on progress. We have replaced the bottom portion here. That's the front and the back 2x4s. They were just way too rotted out for us to reuse. And then I put some cross supports in here of 2x2, all treated. The bottom's the most important part of this whole thing. You know, I can fix these sides later. I can add a couple more boards to shore something up or splice in there if I have to. You know, we don't like wasting things on the farm, and the majority of this wood was good, so I'm just replacing what's really soft, and we're going to make this into a usable chicken brooder. This hardware cloth is on the floor. You look here, I just used some zinc coated staples that I've used in the past. I actually used them on that old temporary chicken coop over there, and they hold up pretty well. Floor's done. We had this tongue and groove wood that was in the shop that is we bought for another project, and we ended up not using it. So again, it's just spare wood. It's not even treated, but I'm sure it's going to last us at least a season or two, and we may go ahead and paint it too to help it last a little bit longer. But again, we're just using what we have, and I think it turned out pretty good. So we've got our sides in. Not quite sure what we're going to do to the top yet. I think I'm probably just going to put some corrugated metal up there. I've got a door that's going to go over here on the front, and we'll probably just put more wire on the front so that this entire front is open, and we can change directions on this based on the north wind and the time of year and things like that, so that they get more or less airflow.
Start? Mm-hmm. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and be sure to click the like and subscribe button.